Hello students, this is week 4 and the topic for this week is Introduction to Web Analytics. I'm going to go over the learning guide. Like any other week, the first thing you should do is go over the learning guide and read the materials that I have there or watch the videos. For this week, I have a series of videos created by Google Analytics Academy. Those videos were created to prepare you to take a certification that Google calls Google Analytics for Beginners certification. That's not the assignment for this week. If you want to take this certification, I would actually encourage you to do it. And I will give you extra credit if you take the certification, you send me a copy of your certification. The assignment for this week is for you to complete the Google Analytics report, which basically is for you to analyze a website that Google created just for the purpose of practicing and doing tests. It's called the Google Demo account. We'll go over that in a second. But let's go over the Google Analytics Academy and check what they have there for us. So you need to register and you need to have a Google account in order to register for this series of video. And this is the course overview. So Google has divided this course in 4 sections, 4 blocks. Unit 1 is Introduction to Google Analytics. They'll go over about the importance of Google Analytics, how do you set up an account and all that. I will also do a little instruction at the end how you set up an account and how you starting to create reports. Let's look at the second unit, unit 2. It's the Google Analytics interface. Basically what they're going to show you how to navigate on the interface, how you can set up, let's say, filters and all that. It's just for you to have an idea of the dashboard and how to navigate there. Then the most important component of this courses are the Unit 3, which is the basic reports. In a sense, that's what you're doing with Google Analytics, is to create reports. So we have audience report, acquisition report, and behavior reports. We'll go over that in a few seconds. And then we have Unit 4, which is not required for the assignment that I have for you this week. So if you want to take the Google certification, what you have to do, go over all the videos that you have here, and after each unit, you have a series of questions, and you need to score 80% or better in each of these 4 assessments in order to get certification. If you score 80% or over, you'll automatically get certification. If you don't score 80%, then you can retake that assessment anytime you want. You just reset and take it again. When you get the 80%, move to the next assessment. When you have 80% or better in each of the assessment, as I said, you automatically get the certification from Google. That certification is called Google Analytics for Beginners certification. As I said, it's not required, but I encourage you to do, because that would add some advantage for you in terms of your resume or skills. Here we are now on the Google Analytics report test assignment for this week. Let me go over the different steps that you need to take before you can take the test. First thing you have to do is make sure that you have a Google account. If you have a Gmail account, it means that you have a Google account. After that, you got to go step 2, which is create the Google Analytics account. If you already have a Google Analytics account, let's say that you already have a website that you're using Google Analytics to get reports, you don't need to create a new Google Analytics account. Just make sure that you are logged into that account, and then you move to step 3, which is connect the Google Analytics demo account. This is a website that Google create for us to exercise and prepare ourselves to take any tests on Google Analytics. So I'm just going to go over very quick how you create that. Very simple process. You click on that link that I have there, then you end up here. This is where you create your Google Analytics account. Step 1 is for you to give the account a name, any name that you want. I'm just going to put any name here, my Google Analytics account. It can be any name. Once you have that, that's a required field. So if you try to go the next step without filling up that, it's not going to go any place. So once you have that, click next. Then the next window is for you to decide what you're going to track. In this case, we are going to track a website. So leave this that comes as a default, leave it like that, and just move to the next step. The next step is for you to give the name of your website. You can put any website that you want. If you don't have a website, just use the LaSalle website. So all you have to do here is put, name the LaSalle website. LaSalle website, I have it right here already. And then after that, you have to put a URL for the website. So you can do two things. One, go to the LaSalle website and copy the URL and paste it here, or just move this to HTTPS. That means this website, which is the LaSalle website, has a secure certification. Here, make sure that you just write the name of the website. You don't have to repeat HTTPS there. All you have to do is write LaSalle.edu. That's the name of the LaSalle website. Industry category, it's not important, but just pick anything you want here. So education, probably you'll have education here someplace. I don't see education. Just do internet and telecom. That's fine. Anything you want. Then you just create the account by clicking here, and the account is created. Now, let's go back to our assignment. So now that you have done all the steps, you are ready to do the assignment. And basically, the assignment is for you to go to the Google's Analytics DEM account and get some data. This is a quiz that's going to ask some data from that Google Analytics account, like data like say how many people have visited the website, what's the gender, the percentage of male and females who visit the website, many other questions. I'll go over that in a second. One important thing that you have to remember, and when you go to the demo account, is to make sure that you set the date from January 1st, 2020 to January 31, 2020. What I'm asking you is a report for that particular date, January 1st, 2020 to January 31st, 2020. When you land at the Google Analytics website, most likely you'll see something like this. This is a dashboard. You can customize this. The first thing you have to do once you arrive here is to make sure that you are analyzing the right website. In order to do that, you have to look up here on the top and make sure that you are on the right website that you want to analyze. Because if you have more than one website, most likely you might be in a different website, and you want to make sure that's not the case. And you know that you need to be on the demo account, Google Merchandise Store, and Master View. So this is the dashboard. And if you look on the left side, if you watch the videos for the certification for Google Analytics beginners, you probably already know what all these different tabs mean. But I'll just go over quick on each tab. So real time tells you what's happened on that website in that particular moment. So right now I know that I have 15 users accessing this website. So there's 15 visitors at this website at this particular moment. And we can also look to see from which countries they are accessing the website. And these are the data that you can see here, but you can go back and play with this, because I want to go straight to where we need to be in order to do the test. So the test is going to address data from audience, acquisition, and behavior. Conversion has to do with advertising. I'm not going to cover that in this lesson. So audience has to do with your users. If the question is how many users are accessing your website in a particular time frame, you'll find that data right here. If I ask you what type of devices are the users using to access your website, you'll find it here as well. So anything to do with the users, you'll find it here. Acquisition has to do from where the traffic to your website is coming from. Are they coming from social media channels? Are they coming from other websites? Are they coming from Google search and other search engines? Are they coming from paid search or digital advertising? So the data that you'll find here has to be the source where the traffic is coming from. If I ask questions about a particular page, let's say, what are the pages with more traffic on the website? Then you come here. So anything to do with the pages, you'll find it here. So let's go to audience. The first thing to do, go to audience, click overview. And before you do anything else here, that's very important. Pay attention to this. Before you do anything here, make sure that you set the time range for the data that you're looking for. So make sure that you set the time frame or the time range of the data that I'm looking for. If you recall, the exercise or the test is asking for data from January 1st, 2020 to January 31st, 2020 for the month of January. So I'm looking for data for the month of January. So you can come here and make the change right here, because by default, Google will give you the data from the last week. So you have to come here and change the data. So you come here, go to January, pick January 1st, January 31st, and click apply. And then you'll see, confirm that the data is here. For this particular exercise, I'm going to get something closer to where we are. We are in July, so I will look for data in reference to June. So I'll go June 1st and June 30th. So make sure that you do this before anything else, because otherwise you will get in data from a different time frame. And if the test is calling for a particular time frame, you have to make sure that you are there. But let's talk about audience now. So if the question is, what day of the month you had the most users coming to your website? That data you'll find here in this graphic. So this is the days. So June 3rd, 5th, 7th, 25th, 27th. So you see the dates here and the number of users on the top. So if you look at this graph, this point here seems to be the highest number of users. So just hover with your cursor over that point, and it tells you that on Thursday, June 25th, 2020, you had 2,609 users. So it seems like that's the highest number of users. But then just to confirm, come here, another top. But here you have 2,565 users. And here, 2,389. So the day with the highest number of users would be June 25th, 2020. You have 2,609 users. If the question is how many users access the website in that particular time frame, your answer is this. If I'm asking for the new users, your answer is this. If I'm asking for the number of sessions, this is your answer. So if you don't know what each one of these metric means, so just put your cursor over the name there, the label, and on that dark brown window will give you a description of that metric. So users, new users, sessions, number of sessions per user, page views, page per sessions, average session duration, and bounce rate. Let's go over each one of these. Users are the total number of users coming to your website. New users are the users that are coming to your website for the first time. Let's say I come to your website today. I'm counted as new user one time. Then if I return to that website 2 days later, I'm not going to be counted as a new user again because I'm counted one time for a new user, but I'm going to be counted as a user to the website. So in a particular month, I might be a new user, but if I come to the website again, I'm a user. So it counts me twice. But a user, if you are a user and you've came to their website in the prior month, it's just going to count to you once, even if you come many times to their website. Sessions means that how many times people have access to your website. a session is initiated when the user arrives to our website. And as long as the user is active on their website, even if it stays there for half an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, is still counted as one session. But if users is inactive for like 30 minutes or come back to your website 2 hours later, it's going to initiate another session. So a user can have in a particular month many sessions. And here is the number of sessions per user. That's the average. So the number of sessions per user, so meaning that each user had an average of 1.34 sessions on the website. Page views are the total number of views this website had in a particular month. For this case, 319,878. Then you have number of pages per section. That's the average. Because if you come to a website, you may visit 3 pages. Some people would visit 5 pages. So the average of sections per page is 4.73. So in one session, an average is 4.73. If I ask you the question, what's the average time a user spends on your website in that particular month, the answer is 3 minutes and 3 seconds. So that's the average session duration. Bounce rate is when you enter a website in a particular page and leave that same page without visiting any other website. That's counted as a bounce for that particular page. So the number that you see here, bounce rate, is the average of bounce rate of every single page of the website. If I ask, what's the overall bounce rate for the website? This is your answer. But if I ask, what's the bounce rate for a particular page of your website, you have to find that in a different tab. You'll find that under behavior. So let's move on. Let's go here to the bottom. There's 2 ways to come here. Let's say if I ask you what country has visited your website the most. So here by default you have language, but if you click on the country on the left side here, right here, you give you the list of the countries. If I ask the overall city, you click on the city and it gives you the overall city. In this case, it shows not set. That means that Google was not able to determine from where those views come from. And might be to do with people using VPNs or having some privacy settings that does not identify the user. What's the city with the most views to the website? You don't put not set. You put the next one, which is Newark, for the city with the most views to your website. So not set, you can put a note there. Number 1 was not set, but the one that counts is Newark, which is the next one in line. Now, if the question is, what state of United States had the most traffic to your website? To get that data, you come here on, you got to make sure that you are on country, click over United States. It's going to open a window with all the states. So California was the state with the most views to the website. If you want to get the city within California with the most views of the website, you click over California and you get that view, which was San Francisco. So let's go back to demographics. The overview for demographics. Let's say I ask you a question, what is the percentage of male and female accessing the site? You'll get that answer right here. 39.8% of females, 60.2% of males. And that's all related to this date that you see here. So if I ask you the age, which age range access the website the most? The answer is the age range from 25 to 34 right here. This is the demographic. If the question is about interest, so the interest means what interest your users have. Like could be traveling, could be lifestyle and hobbies. So if I ask you any question about interest, you know that you're going to get that answer right here. So if I'm asking new versus returning visitor to your website, go to behavior, click right here, and you're going to have the answer right here. New visitors, this is the number, and this is the percentage right next to it. Returning visitors, this is the number, and this is the percentage right here. This behavior can be a little confusing because it refers to behavior of people on your website. And the other big tab on behavior here has to do with pages on your website. We'll cover that in a second. Let's close behavior. Let's move to technology. Technology will give you data like what browsers people use to access your website. You know, Chrome was the #1 browser with 38,557 users using Chrome to access your website. If the question is about operating system, pay attention here. Besides the data that you get by default here, you can get data right here. If I'm asking for operating system, you'll get the answer right here. Say, okay, Windows was the #1, Macintosh #2, Android #3. If I ask what screen resolution people use to access your website the most, the answer would be under screen resolution. And you'll see this is a large screen resolution, so this is a desktop for sure. If the number is low, like this one here, it should be like an iPad, and this should be like a smartphone. But if you want to get data regarding mobile devices, you don't get it here. There is another tab right here that addresses the mobile devices. So if you click on Overview, you get desktop, the number of people accessing your website through desktop, mobile, and tablet. But if I'm looking for other data, let's say what mobile devices people use to access your website the most. So #1 was Apple iPhone, #2 Apple iPad. This is not set, then Google at the end. Here also you can get the screen resolution for mobile. Don't confuse what we address on technology. That's overall screen resolution, mobile, desktop, iPads, and all that. Here it's just for mobile devices, and you'll find that information right here, screen resolution. Just if you click there, you'll get the screen resolution just for mobile. As you can see, this is a tablet for sure. These are cell phones or smartphones. If I ask you for the operating system of mobile devices, you'll get that information right here, operating systems. So #1 was Android, #2 was iOS, which is Apple operating system. Then you have Windows, Tizen, and Macintosh. So let's move to acquisition. Let's close behavior. Acquisition. Again, overview. As I said, this is the source from where the users are accessing your website. #1 channel is organic search, meaning people are accessing your website through search engine platforms like Yahoo, Google, Baidu, and other search engines. If you want to know the detail on organic search, which search engine access to your website the most, you can click right on organic search, and you have to pay attention to something here. By default, when you click under organic, you'll get the keywords, so the keywords people use to access your website. But if I'm asking for the source, you'll get the source right here. So here you'll know that what search engine access your website the most would be Google. Let's go to overview again, and let's get some other data here. So direct means people know your URL, or they have you marked on their bookmarks. The referral means some other websites, they are linking to your website. They are driving traffic to your website. And you can see here, it's probably all Google websites. Back to overview. This from display advertising. Then if I ask you what social media channel is bringing more traffic to your website, you'll find that information right here under social. Click there, and here's your answer. So YouTube is #1, then Facebook, Reddit. So most people are accessing your website through YouTube. A little strange, but that's the answer for the question. Let's go back to overview. Let's say if I ask a question like, what keywords are people using on page search to access your website? You click right here on page search. And here are, make sure that this is selected. These are the keywords. If I ask what sources, you go here and you see most likely will be Google search engine. Yes, that's the only one actually here on this result. Now let's move to behavior. Behavior, as I said, has to do with the pages of your website. So let's do overview here first. We'll give you some data. So here you have some repetition of things that you saw on the audience overview. Again, the bounce rate for the website in general. And if I ask you about bouncing rate, exit rate, and all other information, you don't see it here. So the way to get that information, you need to go either site content, all pages, or click here, view full report. So two ways of getting that, full reports or site content, all pages. As you can see, now you're going to get a lot more data than just the pages. So here you have the same list of pages. These are the pages with the most views on the website. Store would be number one, then all these pages down here. If the question is what page had the most page views, your answer is right here. If I ask unique page views, your answer is right here. If I ask what's the average time people spend, let's say on the home page, this is the home page, your answer is 1.18 minutes. So the average time on page. If the question is the percentage of entrance, what does it mean entrance? That's where people access your website. Most of the times they access your website through the home page, but a lot of times that's not the case. They might access your website to another internal page of your website. So when they arrive there, it's going to count one entrance for that particular page. And you'll have the answers right here in relation to entrance. Then if I ask for the bounce rate for the page store.html, you'll get that information right here. So this is the information for bounce rate for each particular page. The overall, it's right here. What's the bounce rate for the overall website? Your answer is this, and you'll see the same value on the audience that I showed you in a few minutes ago. If the question is, what's the exit rate of the page store.html? So you go here, exit rate. What that means, it's count every time that somebody exits your website from a particular page, it's going to count one exit for that page. So the overall percentage of exit rate for each page, it's found in this column right here. So that's basically all you have to know to do the exercise. What I advise you to do is for you to go over this again on your own. Do all this exercise that I explained to you here. Make sure that you change the date range and then go over this a few times before you attempt to do your test, because the test is going to ask you some of the questions that I describe here for you. But make sure that you practice many times as you can before you take the test. The test is very simple. So I wish you good luck. And again, if you prefer also to take the Google Analytics certification, I will give you extra credit for that. But the test is required. You must take this test. The Google Analytics certification is an addition for you, and you'll get extra credit if you do that. Make sure you send me the copy of your Google certification.